We're going to be talking today about snakes of Alberta, and in particular the 4 snakes which call Lethbridge home. Now, there are 7 snakes which are considered indigenous to the province, and we're going to start taking a look at, first off, the rarest of the snakes. This is a snake which is only found in the extreme southeastern corner of the province. It's the eastern yellow-bellied racer, which is unusual for this province for a couple of reasons. One is that if you take a look at the back of the snake, it's one color. It's the only snake in Alberta which has one color on its back and another color on its tummy. And it's also unusual in the fact that its babies and its juveniles look nothing like the adults. This is a juvenile yellow-bellied racer. It's two-toned. It's got saddles down its back. And those saddles don't disappear for about 2 years before it starts changing into one color. It's also called a racer because it's one of the quickest of all the snakes. And if you take a look at a racer hunting for prey, it doesn't move that quickly through the grass. However, if and when it happens to detect anything which it believes to be a potential predator, or if it happens to see some prey, it can move quite quickly. If you happen to walk very quickly, you yourself can also keep up to it. It's only found, however, in the extreme southeastern corner of the province, right along the US border. Now here's another snake which is not that common. It's a snake which is found over north of Medicine Hat in particular. It's the Plains hognose snake. And it's called a hognose snake because it happens to have a scale right on the end of its nose. It's called the rostral scale, which is upturned. It makes it look somewhat like a pig. So it's called a hognose snake. It's also unusual in the fact that if it happens to be detected and it thinks it's under threat, it will act in a death row. It'll start looking like it's going to be dead. Now, we do have these snakes in Alberta, as I've said, and one of its defensive mechanisms is it enlarges its head, making it look like triangular, much like a rattlesnake, and it will also pretend it's dead. Some predators don't want to eat dead things, so it acts like it's dead. Even if you pick it up, like this woman does, it pretends it's dead. When you put it down on its belly, it turns over onto its back. Now, you can't do this with the snakes that we have in Alberta. Yes, technically you could do it, but it's illegal to tease these snakes like this. They are found, like I say, north of Medicine Hat, all the way down to the US border. This map isn't exactly accurate. It doesn't come that far west in the southern reaches of its range. Another snake, which is not snake which you find in the city of Lethbridge, is the red-sided garter snake. The red-sided garter snake is a subspecies of the common garter snake. And the common garter snake is the most common snake of any species in North America. It also has the greatest range. And the red-sided garter snake is probably the snake that you imagine if you happen to see large quantities of snakes anywhere in your imagination. Now, these snakes here are found in just northwest of Winnipeg at a place called Narcissus. And Narcissus happens to have thousands, tens of thousands, up to 100,000 red-sided garter snakes in their vicinity. It's the largest reptile den site in the world. We also have large quantities of red-sided garter snakes found in Saskatchewan and in Alberta. If you want to find a large den site in Alberta, northwest of Edmonton is one location. They prefer the boreal forest and the aspen parkland. They do not like the prairie environment, so you will not see them anywhere near Lethbridge. However, they are found down in Waterton, and they are found over in Cypress Hills. It's, like I say, the largest range of any snake in the province. Now, we're going to talk about another garter snake, and this one is supposed to be found here in the city of Lethbridge. This is a plains garter snake. Now, I say it's supposed to be found in the city of Lethbridge. I myself have never found one in the city. However, other people have, and we know it's here, but it's rare in the city. If you go outside of Lethbridge, mainly to the east of Lethbridge, you're going to find the plains garter snake in greater numbers. And like all garter snakes, the most common place you're going to find these snakes and all garter snakes is in or near water. However, in the months when it's not as hot, such as in May and June and September, you can find all snakes resting out in the sunshine in the morning where they try to warm up their bodies. Being reptiles, they do not generate their own internal body temperature, so they have to rely on the sun to do so. And you can often find them resting on a rock or even out just in the areas where there isn't a lot of grass. This is one of our most colorful snakes, and I think it's probably the prettiest snake that we have here in Alberta. It's also one that you can find far away from any water source. I found one in a pasture far from any known water source during the summertime. All right, so those three snakes which we've already talked about are not found in the city. This one is, and here's another. I should show you the range of the plains garter snake. It exists north of Cold Lake all the way to the mountains here in the south. And if you go to Waterton, you can find it as well. Even though it's called the plains water snake, you can find it in the foothills and in the mountain areas. The most common snake in the city of Lethbridge is this garter snake. It's the wandering garter snake. The wandering garter snake is a subspecies of the western terrestrial garter snake, and this is its most common color. I say most common color because you can also find it almost black in color, melanistic. And it's the most common snake you're likely to see in the nature reserve. One of the reasons that they are found in water is because one of their favorite prey is minnows. And if you're watching wandering garter snakes, or any garter snake for that matter, catch a minnow and eat it, they do not have to come out of the water to eat it. Even the babies love the water. This happens to be a neonate or a newborn, and they're quite small. If you're handling it like if you're handling any garter snake or any snake for that matter, try to treat it with care. Don't squeeze it. And when you pick it up from a location, you can't take it home and keep it as a pet. Put it back where you found it. You can take a look at this small garter snake, neonate, which is actually even smaller than my shoelace. I talked about melanistic snakes. The wandering garter snake is one of the most common snakes for being melanistic. It almost looks black without those yellow stripes. It's not gray like most of our wandering garter snakes. This is the most common color that you're going to see of the western terrestrial wandering garter snake here in the city. This is one of the hibernacula in the city, and like all garter snakes, the males come out of the den site in the spring first, and then they wait for the females to come out because they pursue them and try to mate with them. If a female allows a mating, it will mate before it heads out to start hunting in the springtime. The males will stick around the den sites up until June, waiting for all the females to come out of the den site before they leave for the hunting grounds. So this is the range of the western terrestrial and wandering garter snake in the province of Alberta, you can see that it is covering the entire southern portion, so you can find them down in Waterton. The city of Calgary has all 3 species of garter snake. The city of Edmonton only has 2, and this is one of them. And of course, we find that is the most common snake that you're going to find here in the city of Lethbridge. I'm going to talk about this snake now, which is the most largest snake in size in the province. This happens to be the bullsnake. And the bullsnake is considered to be the most economically beneficial snake in Canada. It eats more rodents than any other snake. You can see that they do not move from point A to point B, or when they're looking for prey, that quickly. They can move a lot quicker if they happen to find a predator around, or if they do spot some prey. They probably spend most of their time in the summer underground. They'll go after rodents, and if they go into a rodent den, they may stay there until all of their prey is digested. They're also excellent climbers, and in the spring, we often tell people, if you want to see a bull snake, look up, because they could be up above you in a tree as opposed to down on the ground. And all the baby bull snakes look just like miniature adults, same coloration. They are found mainly in the plains and north of Medicine Hat to the Red Deer River, all the way over to Waterton actually, and encompassing all of the plains area of Alberta. Now, that leaves the 7th species of snake in the province and 4th species that you're likely to find in the city of Lethbridge, and that happens to be the prairie rattlesnake. Now, I've talked to people who have lived in Lethbridge for 40 or 50 years, and they've said that they have never seen a rattlesnake. Well, the rattlesnakes can be found on both the east and west sides of the river, but most of them are in the area from the university south to Cottonwood Park. But they can also be found over in the 6 Mile Coulee area, and one is actually being seen in the nature reserve a couple of years ago. But they are very rare on the east side of the river. A lot of people mix up the prairie rattlesnake with the bull snake. They think they look quite similar. I'm going to show you some distinguishing features between the two so that you never make that same mistake. When you take a look at the eyes of a rattlesnake, they have elliptical pupils like that of a cat. And not only the bull snake, but all the rest of the snake species in the province happen to have round pupils. The rattlesnake also happens to have light lines of scales leading from the corners of their eye back to their end of their mouth. Those are missing on bull snakes. Another thing is the patches along the back, or the saddles. Some people think that the bull snakes look very similar to that of a rattlesnake. But if you look at the saddles on the back of a bull snake, they're very uniform. And they can probably remind you of the links on a chain on your bicycle. When you look at the body of a bull snake, it can be quite thin, especially compared to that of a rattlesnake. A rattlesnake happens to have a very bulky body. And when you look at the tail section, this is the tail of a bull snake. You can see, obviously, no rattle. And most adults rattlesnakes have a rattle. Now, not all rattlesnakes have a rattle. This one doesn't. Oh, the big one does, but not this little one here. This little one happens to be a neonate or a newborn. And they are not born with a rattle. They are born with a pre-button, and after their first shed, they turn that into a button, which happens to be the terminus of any rattle which they will have. And each time they shed, they will add a segment to that rattle. The rattles are made out of keratin, the same material that makes up your fingernails. And as your fingernails possibly get brittle and dry, they break, and so do the rattles on a rattlesnake. This is an adult rattlesnake, and if you take a look at its rattle, you can see that it's broken. As a matter of fact, I find it rare to find rattles which have more than about 9 or 10 or 11 segments on them. No matter whether a rattlesnake happens to have a rattle, no matter what its saddles look like down its back, no matter if you're close enough to see its eye or not, if you happen to see its head, anytime you happen to see a snake whose head is about twice as wide as its neck, you are looking at a rattlesnake. That of the bullsnake, the head is about the same width as the neck. So I'm going to talk to you about rattlesnakes in detail now and how you can maintain safety in their midst. First off, we'll talk about the timelines. What rattlesnakes are like no matter what their age, no matter what their gender. All the rattlesnakes are underground throughout the winter months, and they don't become active until about mid-April, until about mid-May. Everything depends upon the weather. And after that, then they'll move away from their den site. Like I say, everything depends on the weather. First off, we'll take a look at the young of the year. Young of the year are those snakes which were born the previous summer and went into an overwintering den site and came out the following spring. At that time, they would be about 8 or 9 months of age. They're not yet a yearling, and that's why we call them young of the year. We don't say they're an 8-year-old because we don't, or an 8-month-old, because we don't know if they're 8 months or 9 months or 10 months. We just know that they were born the previous summer, so they're called young of the year. And these are juveniles. Now, juveniles are any snake which are not mature enough yet to breed. If they happen to be a male, they can be 1 year of age, 2 years of age, or even 3 years of age. They're still not big enough or mature enough to breed. If they happen to be a female, they can not only be 1, 2, or 3 years of age, they might be 4, 5, or even 6 years of age. Everything depends upon their body size and their health condition, whether they will be able to breed or not if they're a female. They usually have to be quite fat before they can have any babies. And many female rattlesnakes are not old enough until they're about 6 years of age, or even 7 years of age in some cases, before they're fat enough to sustain a pregnancy. So if you happen to be talking about a juvenile rattlesnake, it could be a snake of almost any age or almost any size. Now, when we're talking about young of the year and juveniles, after they become active and the weather turns nice, they'll move away from their overwintering den site and they'll start hunting. Many of the young of the year do not find enough prey and they die of hunger. Now, if they happen to find enough prey, they may shed not only once, but sometimes as often as 3 times, rarely 4 times. Every time they shed their skin, it takes about 7 to 10 days to take them out of action where they can't hunt for prey. And then after they shed, then they'll go about their hunting style again until about the first week or second week of September, and then they'll all, both the young of the year and the juveniles, will move to the overwintering den site once again. Now, males, which happen to be large enough, mature enough to breed, will move away from their overwintering den site and begin hunting throughout the months of May and June to the end of June, when, if they have eaten enough and they're large enough to mate, then they will shed their skin. And after shedding their skin, which, like I say, takes about 7 to 10 days, then they will start looking for a mate. They won't be eating whatsoever. They'll just look for a mate. And after they have found a mate, they'll look for another mate until the early part of September, and then they too will move back to their overwintering den site. Now, females who are not pregnant will move out of their overwintering den site in the latter part of April or the first part of May, and they too will start hunting so that they can fatten up, so that they can sustain a pregnancy. Now, when I say sustain a pregnancy, I mean they have to be fat enough so that they can go for a full year without eating. If they are fat enough, then they will shed their skin and they'll go about hunting again, but they will be receptive to a male who wants to mate. If they are not fat enough to sustain a pregnancy, then they'll just continue hunting. And again, the first part of September, they'll return to the overwintering den site. Now, the females which had mated in July or August of the previous year, they become pregnant in the springtime of the following year. So these snakes are pregnant and they'll move away from the overwintering den site and go to another den site called a rookery or a birthing den. And that's what they'll do for the entire summer, is thermal regulate, helping to develop the babies which are developing in their bodies. Then toward the latter part of summer, usually around the end of August or the first part of September, they will give birth. After they give birth, they'll stick around with their babies until their babies have shed for the first time, and then they will return to their overwintering den site. This is what a pregnant female rattlesnake looks like. She has her rookery or birthing den in that hole just to the left in the picture, center left. She will move in and out of the shade, helping to develop her babies growing within her. If she gets too hot, she'll move into either complete shade or partial shade. This one you can see is moving toward that plant, and she has a very thick, fat body. That's because in the latter part of her body, that's where her babies are developing. Now, I'm not a botanist, but apparently that snake that this particular rattlesnake is moving behind is called, its common name, a snake plant. This is another rookery. Often when you are in rattlesnake country, if you happen to see a large rock, there is often a hole beneath the rock, often created by badgers and foxes, things which want to establish a den under that rock, and then rattlesnakes take it over when it's abandoned. And this happens to be another rookery. So the pregnant females, sometime in late August or early September, she'll shed and then she'll give birth. And she'll stick around with her offspring until they shed. For some reason, she gives birth to live young, but these live young, for some reason, need to shed almost immediately. And then after they shed, she'll return to the overwintering den site. These are a number of newborn rattlesnakes. And they're just waiting around at the birthing den to shed their skin. And when they are in the process of shedding, their eyes cloud up. And you can see this particular baby happens to have cloudy eyes. And 1 or 2 days before they give, they have ecdysis, and they shed their skin, their eyes clear up. This one right here happened to have clear eyes, so it will be shedding its skin in 1 or 2 days after this picture was taken. The female mother, she'll lose about 1/4 of her body weight from the time she leaves her overwintering den site in the spring until she returns to it in the fall. So that's a lot of weight. And that's why they have to be fat before they can sustain a pregnancy. A lot of people think, well, what do rattlesnakes think about when they're at their rookery, or what do they think about when they're going about their business? If you take off your skull cap, you can see that you yourself happen to have an extensive brain It's about the size of two clenched fists together. Most of that matter is gray matter, which allows you to think, to plan, to reason. Rattlesnakes do not have that gray matter. Two things really determine what they do during their lives. One is instincts, and the other is sense stimulation. Now, as far as instincts tell them what they need to do to fulfill their basic needs. You have basic needs, they have basic needs, and they're similar. They need food. Most of the things which rattlesnakes eat are rodents, and there are 7 species of mice, 12 species of vole in the province. And one of their favorite prey items happens to be the deer mouse. The deer mouse is a rodent which can carry the hantavirus, and the hantavirus can prove deadly to people. So any time you find a rodent which could possibly kill you, it's nice to have something which is going to eat it, and that's what the rattlesnakes do. If you happen to live near the coulees and near rattlesnake country, and you want to protect your yard from rattlesnakes, just remember that anything which attracts rodents or mice is going to attract snakes. So if you live near the coulees and you happen to feed the birds throughout the summer, just remember that birds are very notorious for spreading seeds throughout the entire area, and the seeds themselves will attract mice. Those mice will attract snakes. Not only mice and voles, but ground squirrels, even cottontail rabbits and ground-dwelling birds are prey for the rattlesnake. So food is one basic need. Water is another thing that you need and they need. The only thing about rattlesnakes is that almost all of the water which they need comes from the prey that they eat. They do not have to go out searching for water unless it happens to be an extreme drought. And at that time, they may look for water, such as if you happen to be watering your lawn or your garden, they might move into your yard just to have a drink of water. You also don't find rattlesnakes about during the wintertime because they need shelter to protect themselves from the cold. They not only need to protect themselves from 0-degree temperatures, but temperatures as warm as +5 or cooler for any length of time will kill a rattlesnake. Not only the cold, but the heat. Temperatures of +40 or greater will stop the flow of blood in their veins, so they have to protect themselves from the heat. If they happen to be in a climate where the temperature is +40 or more, they will be in the shelter during the heat of the day. They also need to protect themselves from predators, and they have a lot of predators. All the birds of prey, and things like coyote and badgers also are predators. But it depends upon their size as well. If they happen to be very small, crows and magpies are also predators. And when they are shedding, they also need shelter, because when they're shedding, their eyes cloud up and they can't see off to the sides nor above them. So they seek out shelter then. They also need shelter when they're about to give birth. So they need shelter for a lot of things. And what do the forms of shelter take? Well, most often it's a hole. Holes created by mammals, usually badgers and coyotes, foxes, things like that. But they also seek out bushes and rocks and buildings. If you happen to be in rattlesnake country and you go near a bush and you hear a rattle, it could be a rattlesnake underneath that bush seeking out some shelter. They also, like I say, go along the areas of buildings to seek out shelter. Even long grass lends to shelter for rattlesnakes. And the fourth basic need, a mate. As I mentioned, males seek out mates during the months of July and August, and females, if they happen to be fat enough, will also be looking for a mate during the summer months. So instincts determine their basic needs, but they also are their actions are also determined by sense stimulation. Now you have 5 senses, and so do they. One of your senses is touch. And rattlesnakes happen to have a very good sense of touch. And that sense of touch is linked to another one of their senses, and that is hearing. If you take a look at a rattlesnake, you can see that they do not, any snake for that matter, they do not have any external ears. However, they do have nerves connecting their lower jawbone to their internal or their inner ears. And when you are walking, you make the ground vibrate. And they can pick that up as a form of sound. So those are 2 of their senses. Another sense is a sense of smell. You have nostrils, they have nostrils. The thing is about nostrils, they only use those nostrils really for breathing. What they smell with is their tongue. They also have the sense of sight. We mentioned eyes earlier when we were talking about the comparisons between rattlesnakes and bullsnakes. They have eyes, of course, but that eyesight is not 20/20. It doesn't provide 20/20 vision, but it is good, very good, for detecting motion. They also have a 5th sense, and that is they are pit vipers. They happen to have a pit, an indentation in their skin between their eyes and their nostrils. And this allows them to see in the dark at night. It allows them to see anything which generates heat. Most of their prey items are mammals which generate heat. That's picture on the right is what a mouse looks like in the infrared using their pits. Now, I mentioned that they have 5 senses. You have 5 senses. You have the sense of taste. Their tongue is used for smelling. They really do not have a sense of taste. Rattlesnakes view almost anything larger than cottontail rabbit as a potential predator. So if they do detect you, what do they do? Well, it's a very complicated thing. It depends upon how fast you're approaching and how far away you are when they first detect you. They may do nothing. They may rely on their camouflage to protect them. If you take a look in this photograph, you can see that there is a rattlesnake, a very small rattlesnake, down in the lower portion. And if they're out in the open, you can see some of them, but you might see that rattlesnake which is sunbathing and think, oh, if I avoid that one, I'm safe. But you might miss another which is also sunning out in the open. They blend into their surroundings quite well. Another thing they may do if they detect you is try to move away from you as quickly as possible. Rattlesnakes are not fast-moving snakes. If you can walk, you can outrun a rattlesnake. And like I say, it depends upon how far away you are when they first detect you, and not only how far away you are, but when they detect you. They may warn you with their rattle. Rattlesnakes can rattle their rattle for minutes at a time. The thing is that they cannot hear the rattle. The snake on the right sees that the snake on the left is shaking its rattle and doesn't know why, because it hasn't detected the photographer, David Galley. So the snake on the right is ignoring it. And like I say, they will rattle if they are feeling threatened and you happen to be far enough away. If you were, say, 10 feet or 12 feet away, you will probably hear a rattle. Another thing they may do when they detect you is strike, but they only strike as a last resort, and that is when they feel that their life is threatened. Now, they may strike even without warning you with a rattle. It depends upon how fast you encounter them, how fast you are going. You may be upon them even before they realize it. And when you are stepping right near them and they've only detected you at the last moment, they may feel threatened and they can strike out without rattling their rattle to warn you. Here's what a rattlesnake looks like when it is striking. And this is in slow motion. They can strike you faster than you can blink your eyes. So how do you protect yourself in rattlesnake country? Well, you're equipped with eyes. So be aware. Where are most snakes located? On the ground. So for goodness sakes, look down. But remember that snakes may not be detected in the long grass. You're also equipped with ears. Don't defeat the purpose of the rattle by covering your ears with earbuds, listening to music. When you're in rattlesnake country, be aware, don't cover your ears. Now, another thing you should do is wear protective clothing. One thing you shouldn't be doing is wearing skin-tight clothing or skinny jeans and sandals in rattlesnake country. Most of the strikes of a rattlesnake are to the lower extremities, so you want to protect those areas. And how do you protect those areas? Well, one way is by wearing boots. And if you happen to be working in rattlesnake country and your job requires you to wear boots, but if they don't specify what type, the best type of boots to offer the most protection are cowboy boots. Also wear loose-fitting slacks. Why? Well, when a rattlesnake strikes out, it will try to envenomate the first thing it touches. And if that happens to be your loose slacks, it's better to have venom running down the inside of your pant leg than down the inside of your leg. If you happen to be working on your hands and knees, then wear leather gloves. They will offer some protection from a bite. And when you're in rattlesnake country, don't put your hands or feet anywhere where you can't see what is there, because rattlesnakes will saddle up right beside any type of an object, even a building. So look where you're going to sit, look where you're going to step, look where you're going to put your hands. And if you're in rattlesnake country in the summer, during the hot months, at night, then for goodness sakes, use a flashlight, because you can't see them, but they can see you. So what do you do in the unlikely event that you are bitten by a rattlesnake? Well, it is an emergency, but stay as calm as possible. Don't run. You don't want your blood circulating quickly throughout your body. So try to stay as calm as possible. And remember, it is an emergency. So call 911. And if you happen to have any jewelry on that area near the bite zone, then take the jewelry off, because you're going to start swelling caused by the venom. Try to keep the area bitten below your heart. Now, if you're bitten on the lower extremities, that's not too hard to do. And you can tie something around the affected area, but not too tight. You don't want a tourniquet. If you tie something around the bite area, you're just trying to slow down the blood in that area. You should be able to stick a finger underneath whatever you tie and your skin. And don't do anything heroic. In the old days, we used to see the actor John Wayne in westerns. And anytime John Wayne or one of his compatriots would be bitten by a rattlesnake, they would take out a knife and they would cut the area and try to suck out the venom. Do not do that. That is the stupidest thing you can do and only cause more problems. And then go to the hospital. It is an emergency. Get to the hospital. So what happens when you do go to the hospital? Well, the nurses are going to treat you very well because first off, they're going to monitor your bite. And when they monitor the bite, they usually will draw a circle around the bite area and they'll watch how fast the swelling spreads. And while they're doing that, they're also going to get the anti-venom ready. The anti-venom happens to be crowfab. Crowfab comes in a powder form in 2 vials in a little box like that, and it has to be reconstituted using a saline solution. Most people who are bitten by a rattlesnake, most adults who are bitten by a rattlesnake, require 6 of these vials to help neutralize the venom. You can see from this map that rattlesnakes are found from the Red Deer River right through to Montana, and from the Saskatchewan border as far west as Lethbridge. Mainly in the areas which are occupied by coulees and river systems. That is rattlesnake country. Here in Lethbridge, rattlesnakes, like I say, are most predominant from the university south to Cottonwood Park. Rattlesnakes aren't aggressive. They only strike when they feel that their life is endangered. And they certainly do not chase you. And as I mentioned earlier, rattlesnakes are not fast movers at the best of times. But no matter what the time of day, no matter how cool they are, they can still strike faster than you can blink an eye. But if you're out in rattlesnake country and you happen to hear a rattle, stop. Don't step back, just stop. Don't move. Take a look around, see where the rattle is coming from, and once you find where the snake is, then step away from it. The good news is that 1 bite in every 5 or 20% of the bites are dry. That means that the rattlesnake has inflicted no venom whatsoever. The law in Alberta protects all snakes, including rattlesnakes. You can't kill, harm, or handle any snake. It's also illegal to harass a snake. And their den sites are also protected, both the overwintering den sites and the birthing dens. So you can't alter them in any way. Now, almost all of the rattlesnakes in Lethbridge are 1 meter in length or less. 1 meter in length or less. They can be larger, they can be longer, but most of them are of this length. This particular snake, which is in the photograph with the mouth open, it's probably the longest rattlesnake I've seen, and it could be as long as 5 feet in length. Babies, and you can see one in the bottom right-hand corner, also brewmate with adults. Now, when I say brewmates, you know about hibernation. Ground squirrels, like gophers, hibernate. Ground squirrels are mammals, and when you're talking about mammals, you talk about hibernation. Ground squirrels are one of them. Even bears will hibernate. But when you're talking about reptiles, a very similar experience is called brumation. So when I say brumate, you can think of it as hibernation. If you happen to have rattlesnakes in your area, you probably have a very good environment. A lot of people say that they thought that snakes were individualistic and they didn't like company. Well, when they're out hunting, they don't want more competition. So they are individuals, they are loners. But when they're near their den sites, they are quite comfortable around other, not only rattlesnakes, but all species of snake. You'll find that rattlesnakes, bullsnakes, and garter snakes will brewmate together over the winter. In this particular photograph, we have 3 different ages of rattlesnake. In the center portion, there is a yearling. The bottom left happens to have a juvenile, and the main photograph there is an adult. So I hope you've learned something about rattlesnakes and how to protect yourself in rattlesnake country. Just remember to stay safe. Thank you very much.